Okay, hi, this is Praios. We are live now. Yeah, we are doing another review video. The topic of the video I'm watching today is Pot Limit Omaha 5 tips that will take you from noob to pro. So expectations are very high. I mean, not really. I mean, I expect this to have 0 pro tips in it. The advice will probably be very general and broad. I also don't know the dude, whoever this is supposed to be. Maybe it's someone important or popular, but I don't know him. And yeah, as I already said, I expect this to be beginner advice, not advice for pro. And yeah, if you want to be a pro or become a pro, all the important links are there, and yeah, feel free to use my affiliate link. But without further ado, let's now get into the video and see if this video actually has expert advice in it. Maybe I can learn something. I doubt it yet, but yeah, let's see what this is about.
Omaha, home of tumbleweeds, the Reuben sandwich, eat it New York, Warren Buffett, and poker. Badass, exciting, cool poker. Actually, the real origin story behind the Omaha poker name is still unknown. But let's not let that get in the way of a good story. And while we can't promise you'll get a bankroll like Buffett, we do know that having the right poker strategy will help you score some cash real soon.
That's true.
By the end of this video, you'll know the 5 expert skills that can transform a noob into a strategy superstar in Omaha poker. Choose wisely. Be patient. First, learn stand, then learn fly. As always, Mr. Miyagi speaks the truth. Of course, whether it comes to kicking ass in karate or Omaha poker. With Omaha, you need patience.
So that's the pro tip. You need patience. Wow. I'm very impressed already. And also very general. Not how you should use this in practice. Just be patient. Okay. Moving on.
There are a lot of bad hands in Omaha, and only a few good ones. So knowing exactly where your hand ranks and how to play it is crucial.
Yeah, but how do you do that? Okay, but so he basically is saying, have a good selection of starting hands. That's pro advice nobody knows about.
The pot limit in Pot Limit Omaha simply means you can't bet more than the pot. So there are very few pre-flop.
That's another expert tip. Pot limit means that you cannot bet everything if the pot is more like a no-limit hold'em. Wow!
All-ins and a lot more post-flop action. In Omaha, you get 4 hole cards. You can only play 2 of these cards.
So he's also explaining the general game rules. Okay.
Quad aces? Tough luck. There's none left in the deck and you should probably fold. Ouch. The best starting hand in Omaha is ace-ace, king-king. You should still be aware that even aces and kings can get cracked.
He also forgot to say that they had to be double suited. I mean, they are double suited on this picture, but he didn't say that. Maybe he doesn't know even the expert term suit.
They don't play too well against multiple opponents. There might not be enough aces or kings left in the deck. Still, when you draw a pair of aces or kings, you should almost always be raising pre-flop to narrow the field.
Kings are actually not that great.
Queen, queen, jack, jack, and big slick, no, not that guy, also known as ace king, are the next best hands to start with.
What? I mean, these other high poker pairs are basically junk. I mean, queens, jacks, tens. Ace king has to have like 2 other broadways together with it to be great, and also be double suited. This is just get a solver, man. Link in the description.
Next up, consider raising pre-flop when you draw tens, ace queen, ace jack, and king queen.
Does he think this is some sort of hold'em with 2 more cards?
You'll want to select your starting hands very carefully. You can't afford to play hands consistently that start you at a disadvantage against your opponents. It might work once in a while, but in the long run, it'll get too hard to make up ground post-flop. If you like the video so far, consider hitting the like button and check subscribe.
We will do something right now. I mean, editing and the voiceover is great, but I don't like it so far. So should we give him a thumbs down or wait until the end? I think we wait until the end.
Subscribe. Understand wraps.
By the way.
If you want to make your Omaha game a lot less vanilla,
Alright, stop.
You need to understand wraps. Keep in mind, these apply to pot limit Omaha only. We'll use
I am surprised that he's not showing this thing you can eat. He's talking about wraps.
PLO just to keep things rolling. With 4 hole cards in Omaha, most PLO hands are won by straights or better.
Okay, this is just how good a starting hand is. Oh my god. This is pro advice. So pros seem not to know that a royal flush beats a straight flush, and that a high card is worse than one pair. Is this one of the tips, by the way?
Quickly recognizing wraps and counting your outs should become second nature, and this will give you an edge. An out is any unseen card that will give you the best hand. The more outs you have, the higher the chances of winning some cash. Meanwhile, a straight...
Yeah. Okay. That's actually true. But his starting hand is absolutely garbage. 5, 6, 7, queen with no suits should almost never enter the pot, by the way.
Straight draw with 9 or more outs is called a wrap. A wrap can be below, above, or between the board cards, and you must use at least 2 board cards and 3 of the cards in your hand.
It can also be on top and on bottom. So, for example, there is like 8, 9, and you have 10 jack, and 8, 9, 6, 7. Then this is the biggest wrap possible. 20 outs, if I'm not mistaken.
Only consider hole cards in your wrap when they are directly next to the board cards, or...
This again is a hand that looks not that playable. 1 suit only and 3 cards connect, but the 10, the gap, doesn't look like he's choosing his starting hands well.
Up to 3 adjacent to each other. Here are 2 quick examples of wraps. A 13-out wrap means you hold 3 cards above or below 2 connected board cards, but not both. A 9-out wrap means all your hole cards are between the board cards. You can find ways to learn and memorize all the different wraps online. And
yes, and he misses a 20-card wrap.
pretty quickly, you'll know them like the back of your hand. Play your position. Positions matter. And keep
Absolute expert tip. Nobody knows about position yet. So listen carefully.
your mind out of the gutter on that one. We're talking Omaha poker here. Stay focused. You use your position in Omaha to either build a pot or control a pot. Both skills are important to learn if you want to make some cash. First, a quick summary of positions though. The dealer, or the button, is in the best position because he gets to see how every player is playing and betting before he has to play. The closest to the left of the dealer, the worst position you're in. This is because you need to play before knowing what others are up to. As you move around the table from left of the dealer to the right, from what are called early positions to middle and late positions, you get stronger since you know more about.
To my knowledge, this is not correct. It's hard to point at the things because they are just on the screen. To my knowledge, the blinds is like an extra category, and the early positions are UTG and middle position, and yeah, the late positions cut off and dealer. But yeah, okay, whatever. Details nobody cares about. Pro advice.
Who's doing what? Knowledge equals power, my friend. Use it wisely. Now that you know your position strengths, bet accordingly. Sure, your strategy might include betting aggressively from the early positions once in a while, just to keep the other players from reading you too easily. But in general, you want to bet conservatively and fold often if you're in an early spot, unless you're holding a real hot hand. The closer you get to the dealer, you can rev up your game, bet more aggressively, and stay in the game a little longer.
Okay, I mean, not everybody knows about that. I also have videos where I show exactly what percentages you are opening, and I also train it. And this is advice that's not helping anyone unless he's a complete beginner and does not know the strength of his hand. So this title is very, very misleading for sure if you know anything about poker.
Know your nuts.
Know your nuts.
It's important to know them, and more importantly, how to play them. You know, so you can show everyone who's boss. The nut hand is simply the best possible hand for any given board in Omaha poker. With Omaha, you're playing with 9 cards per player, so it's very likely that someone has a nut hand most of the time.
This again, by the way, is not the greatest hand.
And that also means that you're not very likely to win the pot if you don't have the nut hand. Second nut and third nut hands are simply the next best hands possible after the nut. As the board unfolds, the nut can change, so knowing your hand rankings lets you make the right move. For example, if the board is 5...
So his expert advises, know your hand rankings and try to be as close to the nuts. Who would have guessed?
6, 9, and you're holding 7 and 8, you've got the nut. But if a 7 comes up on the turn, then whoever's holding 8, 10 now has the nut. When you get more experienced, you'll recognize if you have the nut, or at least a second or third nut to take your chances with, more quickly.
By the way, I think he's missing one letter. I mean, I think he has no clue of poker at all. If you have the nuts and not the nut, by the way.
We'll move on before you go nuts.
I go nuts already.
Pump it or dump it. In Pot Limit Omaha, most players don't have room to bluff since there's a good chance a strong hand wins every game. So what do? Pump it or dump it. Most of the time, anyway.
And the thing is, if you are used to Holdem, you need way stronger hands to put your money in. So you should have at least 2 pair to consider getting some money in. I mean, that's too general again, but yeah. So 1 pair in Holdem equals 2 pair in Omaha, so everything moves down in value as you have 4 cards and way more combinations to make a good hand.
That means you take advantage of good hands. Remember those nuts?
Look at this hand. What the fuck is going on with this dude? I can't imagine he's playing that.
And at the same time, not pushing bad hands too far. Avoid calling unless you have a good reason, like trapping your opponent or increasing your pot odds.
Possible flush? There's no flush. There are 2 spades, a club and a heart on the board. Where the fuck is a possible flush? Or does he think, okay, sorry. My bad. I am the noob and he is the expert. I thought, well, I'm also a noob. Let's stop at this. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that I'm confused because I thought the dealer here, you see the mouse, is my hand, but in his graphics, which is extremely, I mean, these cards are on the board, so I expected this to be the dealer's cards, the turn, but it's not. This is what is the board. So that's a way to show. I mean, this is a great editor, this dude, but he has no clue of poker because everyone would expect this to be the player's hand, but it is not. What the fuck? Oh my god! This is okay, but yeah, he's right. If this is actually the turn, there is a flush possible. And this guy has the nuts. Did I misread everything before as well? Yeah, actually, although this is a bit strange. No. What? Here it's the other way around or what? I mean, you cannot have 3 cards. What the fuck is going on? This dude is... This is all messed up. But still fun. Just to look at. But yeah, messed up for sure. Where were we? Somewhere here? Yeah, I mean, this is completely messed up, this thing. Hey, look at this. He has apparently 9 outs.
And at the same time, not pushing bad hands.
And no. Actually, this is not like I thought. This is the board, and he just got confused. Because he says 9 outs before that. And then the ace hits. Nothing changes. Board is paired, so full house is possible, and he might be drawing that already. But he, for some reason,
too far.
Now
avoid calling unless you have a good reason, like trapping your opponent or increasing your pot odds.
Or he started
keep you in
with a 3-card hand and then got another card somehow, but that's not PLO. This video has like 50,000 views. And 1,000 likes. I mean, it's definitely time to hit dislike now. This is fun, but
the game longer and put you in a position to go big before you go home. So to sum up, 1, know your hands. Folding
know your hands. Okay, folding
regularly, but also betting strongly when the cards are in your favor.
Expert advice for sure.
2, understand wraps and know your outs. Recognizing them helps you calculate your odds of winning or losing.
Okay.
3, know how weak or strong your position is.
Who came up with these tips? I mean, possibly not him, because he seems even worse than the tips, as we just discussed.
And bet accordingly. 4, know your nuts. Understand what the best possible hand is at the flop and the turn, so you can decide to go big or go home.
Yeah, it's very hard to read your hand in PLO. People always make the mistake. Think that they have 4 aces on the hand and now think they have quads, but they don't, because they have to play 2 from hand and 3 from board. Great advice. Every pro shouldn't know that or learn about this, because otherwise you will make costly mistakes.
5, pump it or dump it. Don't stay in a hand just for
pump and dump. As we are on a pump and dump. Yeah, I mean, it's not a pump and dump, but this channel, if you like crypto and investment advice as well. I mean, it's not investment advice, as I'm not an investment advisor. It's just educational purpose, you understand. But this is a good video, good channel with, where I show some investment tips or educate you about investing and cryptocurrencies. And yeah, feel free to check it out as well. Finance with Excel is called. Back to the video. Pump and dump.
For fun, and make sure you use your cash when you've got a strong hand. Now you know the ins and outs of what makes Omaha an action-packed style of poker, so you can grab a seat at any table and rake in the chips.
This is from
Ignition while you're Casino. Here, be sure to like, subscribe.
I think that's advertisement for Ignition Casino, but they should have hired me to advise them on the tips and also on the graphics, because this didn't work out well for them if you actually know what you're doing. Yeah, subscribe, like, all the good things.
Subscribe if you didn't do it already, and hit the bell button to...
And you can also only watch me live on Twitch. Remember this too? Only got 100-something followers there, so consider following me there too. You can also ask questions. Talking about questions, did anyone ask any questions? Oh yeah. Beginner tips, okay? The nut, yeah. It's good to see people learn from such videos. Yeah, that's definitely great, but people supposedly learn from this. I love having these dudes on my table.
Get more awesome content. Want to get in the game?
I think we don't watch more awesome content from this dude because we have to unlearn the things we learned in this later. But yeah, this was comedy But yeah, like, subscribe, share, all the good things. Bye until next time.